Good morning, YouTubers. I was just watching the video made by another YouTube friend called Thropybows, where he was showing me his way to learn about thumb rings. I have been using thumb rings for several years, and I have two types of thumb rings. And this first introduction I will do is to show you my thumb rings and some ideas I have about using them and why you should use thumb rings and why it's not so good to use them and aspects around that kind of questions. The first ring is this plain ring like this, made of cow horn. The second ring is like this. This have a groove here where the string should fit in. This is also made of cow horn. And as you can see, this ring has an oval shape. So when you're putting it into your thumb, you're sticking it in like this, and you twitch it 90 degrees. Then it will lock onto your joint, so this cannot come off. My favorite ring and my first ring is this one. I had to adjust the circumference with some clay, because it's quite important for you that the ring fits nicely. As you can see, the other ring, like this one, it's bigger in the circumference. So when I put it on my thumb, I have some slack. And it's that slack that gives you the pinching feeling when you are knocking it onto the string. So when you're using a big thumb ring, you have to be very precise when you are putting the string onto the finger, so you don't get any skin between the ring and the finger, because that will pinch you and it's not so pleasant. The disadvantage by using a thumb ring is, as you can see, this totally encloses my thumb and this stalls the blood flow. So after a while with shooting a thumb ring, your thumb would swell up and it will get quite impossible to get the ring off. So after an hour with shooting, I have to wear this ring, relax the thumb, maybe hold it up so the blood can flow down into my body and the swelling goes down, and then I can take it off. Or you can have two rings with two different inner diameters. So I can switch to this when I feel my thumb is starting to getting warm and swollen. The other rings is like these two, and here is the same. This has a very narrow circumference, so it's barely can hook onto my thumb. It's hard to get it on even when the finger is cold. This one is bigger, so I can switch when the thumb gets warmer and warmer. So those are my four rings, all made of horn. It's not so important what kind of material they are made of, as long as they are rigid and they fit well to your thumb. There have been rings made of semi-precious stone like jade, and you also have these brass rings and other ring types, but I prefer horn because they look beautiful and I like the feeling of the material. And it's also quite easy to shape. I not made these are bought from the market and stuff. Yeah, it's not necessary to use a thumb ring when you are shooting. I might do some archery later on today, so I can take my camera out then and show you there. But these are actually my rings I'm using. I should now talk about why you should use a thumb ring. When you are pulling a very short bow, this is a very weak bow, so I can pull it like this, you get a very steep angle on the string here. If I was using 3 fingers, I will get finger pinching. So the fingers will be squeezed together, because I have all these area on the string where the fingers are in contact with the string. When I use the thumb ring, only this area is affected. So you only get this kind of contact with the string. With the fingers you get more contact. Of course this is a very weak bow, but when you go up to bows with 50, 60, up to 90 pounds draw weight, it's very painful to get 3 fingers squeezed together with this steep angle. On longer bows this is not such a big issue. If you have a long bow, the angle will not get so steep. It will just be like this, I guess. Because the length between the knocking points are so much bigger, and the angle will be different and more pleasant to use the finger drops. You can actually see on some illustrations from medieval times that in the beginning of the 100-Year Wars, the Englishmen primarily used 2 fingers to draw their arrows. But later on, when the bows get stronger, you need to have more force to draw the bow. Then you see 3-finger draw. So, how did they develop these 2 different techniques, with the finger draw and the thumb draw? I have thought a little bit about that. And hold on a second, I need to get an arrow with a knock in. I guess it's quite dark now, but here you can see the knock. When you are knocking the arrow, like this, the arrow doesn't stick to the bow. So of course you need to hold the arrow so you can get a precise shot. And when we are out on market and having audience to shoot bows, especially kids, hey, have a go with a bow and arrow, and the kids go, yay! And you give them the bow, they take the bow in one hand and the arrow in the other hand, and then they pinch the arrow like this. I don't know if you can see it because of the darkness, but they are holding the arrow, not the string, but the arrow. And this was actually also the way I started shooting bow and arrow. So this is a very instinctively way of shooting. Like this, and you hold the arrow like this. This goes well for weak bows. But if you're getting up to stronger bows, it's really hard to do this. And in Norway we have some alpine glacier which now are melting down because of the global warming. And in there we find remnants of arrows which are several thousand years old. You can find fletching, you can find the serving, you can see the knots, and the wooden shafts are astonishingly good preserved in the ice. And many of these arrows have enhanced knock points. These are not so exaggerated as some actually findings are, but this gives you a much more firmer grip on the arrow, so you can pull much stronger bows with this kind of construction. And you also have another way of doing this. For instance, you can start supporting the string with your fingers, like this. Or pulling both the bow, the arrow, and the string. You reinforce primary grip. And from here I can see two obvious ways to go. You can go this way with the fingers, you see, one on each side of the nock, and start shooting. But then this happens. The arrow can start wandering off the bow. So you have to change side where the arrow lies. And there you have the traditional Western draw. Or, this is just my personal thoughts about this. Or, when you are doing the primary grip, you can make the thumb go like this. And there you have the thumb draw. And you don't have to change side to the bow either. The thumb draw is developed by horseback archers like the Mongols, the Cumans, the Avars, the Magyars, and so forth. Also the Chinese, the Korean archers using thumb draws and thumb rings. In Japan you have a special glove which is decided for thumb draw as well. But they are totally stiff in the thumb and in the palm here. So you don't have contact, you don't feel the string and you don't feel the arrow when you're up drawing. You have a groove inside the glove where the string is attached to. And when you go up and when you release, you don't know when the release comes, because you give torsion to the bow and you give torsion to the hand. And these combined release the arrow. That's just another way of doing a release with the thumb. But as I mentioned, it's not necessary with a thumb ring. Put the camera back here. If you're getting stronger bows, and if you are a hard warrior, there is no need for a thumb ring. Of course, it's after a while your thumb would take some pounding of that, but in a way the body seems to compensate for that. After a few weeks of blisters, you get harder skin, and you can take out with quite heavy bows without using a ring. So again, why should people use a thumb ring? Besides that, with the longer and shorter string issue, you have some that say that with the thumb ring, with the thumb grip, you can apply pressure on and draw. You see, the arrow does not slip even I hold the bow upside down. I can hold it in any direction and the arrow is secure to the bow, even if I was galloping around. I can bend down and shoot underneath the horse's neck to an opponent. I can do the part-turn shots and stuff like that. Is that possible with a two-finger draw? I would say yes, because you only need to turn your fingers. So now I can also shoot upside down. It's not that easy. You just need a little bit more training. But it's doable if you train a lot. I not trained this technique, but I've seen people that can do that one with good training. What you have to be careful with, especially with self knocks, is that if you give too much torsion, the knot would split. I have reinforced this knot with tendons and sinews to give it more strength. And yeah, that was all for now. See you back outside. Cheers!